In the era of MeToo, it would be prudent of any young man to make sure he films consent from the woman he is about to engage in adult activities with. In this story from The Sun, it says, consent matters. Women are being asked to record consent videos before adult relations by men who are afraid they'll be falsely accused. In a post-MeToo era, some men are going to extreme lengths to ensure they have consent from female adult activity partners. And actually, the video makes the most sense because I was talking to some people who, people often make the joke about consent forms. And I'm like, yeah, sure, someone could claim the signature is fake, or they could claim they were coerced into signing it. But a video, it says, a worrying new trend is seeing women being asked to record consent videos before engaging in activities with men who fear they will be accused of assault afterwards. This post-MeToo dating trend involves one partner filming the other, giving them verbal consent before they engage in an act. This then allows the person who recorded the video to use it as evidence that their partner gave consent before engaging in activities. In a recent Evening Standard article, one woman recalled how her partner had whipped out a smartphone before they became intimate in order to film her verbal consent. Despite sleeping together a few times before, her casual fling grabbed his phone suddenly without warning right before engaging in activities to confirm she wanted to engage in activities. Switching on the camera, he said, "Could you really quickly just say that you want to do this?" Unsurprisingly, the woman didn't know how to respond, so he asked again, "Could you just say that you're giving consent?" After this worrying exchange, the woman also described how a friend of a friend shared a similar experience with a minor celebrity on a recent night out. After flirting all night, she accompanied this man back to his hotel. However, when they returned to his room, the star explained that his contract was very strict and that she would need to record a video of herself giving consent. After this, the celebrity asked her to state her full name, that she was there of her own accord, and that she consented to being there with him. In other words, these worrying videos function as an insurance policy if someone is falsely accused afterwards. Weighing in on the matter from a legal standpoint, barrister Kate Fortescue told the paper, in this digital age, a jury is nearly always asked to look at material from phones and computers to help them decide the issue of consent. Evidence of pre-recorded consent is clearly relevant and something a jury could consider. However, even if consent was freely given, such recordings could never provide a blanket defense. Judging how a court of law would interpret a consent video, she added, a yes, pre-recorded or not, can be just as ambiguous as some men suggest a no is. And Katie Thorne QC added that a video was nothing more than evidence and could not always determine consent. She added, the use of video or audio recorded consent is a very unromantic way to ask and may not be the cast iron protection the minor celebrity seeks. In fact, texts and social media messages before and after the encounter might be as compelling. They say last month social media went wild for this teacher's simple chart which explained consent perfectly. And this woman who claims she was offered $20K to dump her fiancé by his parents, and it looks like they're just promoting other stories. So let's talk about this idea. First of all, they bring up something interesting. Look, consent can be revoked at any time. So even if you make a video, all she'll say is, oh, but after that video I said, no, delete that video, and he refused to do it, and then he assaulted me. So it's really rather pointless. But it's not just about this. It's the general idea of the Me Too era at all. The fact that people are doing this, I'm sure is bothering some of these women, but what do you want men to do when we consistently see stories of people who are accused of impropriety? Which brings me to the next matter. Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the latest in the Me Too saga, he was accused by numerous women of inappropriate behavior. But what's interesting is that two of the stories are, maybe inappropriate, but nowhere near the level of what a Me Too story should be. And this is why we're transitioning from the story about filmed consent to what happened with Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, because it's relevant in one of the stories. But let's read on. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has responded to recent allegations of adult activity misconduct, because YouTube will derank my videos, by posting a lengthy statement online in which he denies wrongdoing and says he welcomes an impartial investigation by the producers of his show Cosmos. In any claim, evidence matters. Evidence always matters. But what happens when it's just one person's word against another's, and the stories don't agree? That's when people tend to pass judgment on who is more credible than whom, wrote Tyson, head of the Hayden Planetarium in New York City. 3 separate women have come forward with accounts of experiences with Tyson that disturbed them. The most recent episode was earlier this year. Ashley Watson worked briefly as an assistant and driver for Tyson, while the show Cosmos was filmed in Santa Fe. She says on May 16th, as the show was just about to wrap production, Tyson invited her to join him in his apartment for wine in the evening after work. Watson tells NPR she went because she thought he wanted to talk to her about continuing to work as assistant when the show moved on to filming in Europe. Instead, she says, he put on music by Nina Simone, opened wine, and began pulling cheese from the fridge. She recalls that he had taken off his shoes and was wearing a tank top. I remember thinking, this is a lot of skin for me to be seeing on my boss, Watson says. The vibe was just kind of weird. She says Tyson spoke of the stresses of his job and how he needed a release. Later, as she was leaving, she says Tyson said he wanted to show her a Native American handshake that involved feeling each other's pulses and staring into each other's eyes to make a spiritual connection. Watson says she did this for about 10 seconds but was extremely uncomfortable and says she thought to herself, you're supposed to be very smart. Why can't you pick up that I don't want to touch you right now? She also says he put both hands on her shoulders and told her that he wanted to hug her badly, but if he did, then he would just want more. Watson says she was shaken by the interaction, but felt like she needed references and recommendations, so she planned on just working the last few days in the Cosmos filming. The next night, however, in the car, she says Tyson told her that she was too distracting to work as a producer. She was so angered by this, the next day she quit and told one of the show's producers why. He asked her if she wanted to file a formal complaint. I just didn't want to make a fuss, Watson says. Instead, they agreed that she would explain her abrupt departure by saying she had a family emergency. In a statement, Tyson said he invited her to his place as a capstone to their friendship and said he had no idea she was uncomfortable. He remembers offering her the Native American handshake as it is something he saves for new friends. He said that Watson frequently hugged people on the set and that he declined those hugs and on a few occasions clumsily declared, if I hug you, I might just want more. My intent was to express restraint but genuine affection. Tyson also said in a statement that he didn't mean. So let's talk. So here's the thing. One of the accusations seems to be without merit, at least according to Tyson, in that it was a woman who can't remember what happened but claims something happened even though she says she just doesn't remember it because he apparently drugged her. That was 30 years ago and seems to be, look, I don't know if there's anything there, but it just sounds kind of, I don't know, not likely. There's another incident where he claims that he took a photo with a woman and he noticed she had a solar system tattoo on her arm and shoulder and her dress went over it, and so he grabbed her arm and was looking for Pluto. She claims that's what happened. This woman says it wasn't assault, but it was creepy and it made her uncomfortable. Tyson apologized, said he's just kind of like that and was looking for Pluto. And to me, it honestly sounds a bit, and I mean this with the utmost respect, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, fairly autistic. Like he didn't understand what he was doing was a breach of social norms, and that may be the case. Neil deGrasse Tyson may just be a very strange fellow. Now this story about him being with this woman, on the other hand, this one sounds plausible. And let's go back to the first point. If Neil deGrasse Tyson had just filmed a bit of his interaction, we would have evidence to suggest who was actually telling the truth. Because according to Watson, he just invited up his assistant, who drives for him, and that, to me, honestly, seems relatively normal. Like, look, if you're leaving work and it's you and this woman driving you, and you're like, hey, I'm kind of bored, you want to just grab some cheese and wine at my place? Like, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to mean anything. And the reason why this is unfortunate, if I was with a male assistant and I said, hey man, I mean, work's wrapping up, I'm not doing anything, you want to grab a drink real quick? I got some, cheese and wine, we can chill for a bit. That's totally fine, right? But because it's a woman, it immediately becomes questionable. That's unfortunate. Because men can have these interactions and it's like, whatever, but women can't. The other thing is, the Native American handshake, to me, is evidence Neil deGrasse Tyson was actually trying to get him some, okay? There are a couple techniques for creating for emotionally manipulating people. Grabbing someone's hand to hold their pulse, staring into their eyes for an extended period of time is a known pickup artist technique. It is a known social manipulation technique to many people. Perhaps you didn't know this. Maybe someone showed you this thing. Maybe you thought it was just good fun. But it is an actual manipulation technique. Now, it's entirely fair. Neil deGrasse Tyson didn't know that and just thought it was a Native American spiritual thing that was pretty cool. I doubt that. It sounds to me like Mr. Tyson was inviting up a young assistant who was attractive to come and enjoy a nice private and fun night, if you know what I mean. However, that's not illegal. He didn't actually do anything. Well, I don't want to say he didn't do anything wrong, But was it unethical, his behavior? In my opinion, no. I mean, is there the idea of ethics in the work environment, whether a male and a female should have these kind of interactions? It's an opinion, and the reason why I say it's not unethical is not to say that I condone the behavior. No, I think he shouldn't have done that. You don't do that to a subordinate, plain and simple. But some people think it's totally fine, and there are a lot of people who are in successful relationships that have started that way, and I don't see anything wrong with it. It's not illegal, it's not wrong for Neil deGrasse Tyson to try and put the moves on an adult female. Now, she didn't like it, she quit. And that's the appropriate thing to do. Is it frustrating that your relationship ended that way? Absolutely. Did either party do anything wrong? No, there was just a discrepancy in what both were actually trying to get out of it. It is unfortunate that young women have to experience this, don't get me wrong. But there's a big difference between someone forcing you to do something and someone just trying to put the moves on you with some cheese and wine, to be honest. I don't agree with what Tyson did. I don't condone his behavior. I think, personally, it was wrong to do it. But the reason why I said it's not wrong or illegal is that whether or not what he did was right or wrong it varies between people, which means there are probably many circumstances where there are professional women who appreciate, who like this, who may actually have an interest in their boss or superior or coworker, and then say, wow, hey, we're going to have a great relationship, and then things can work out. Maybe things don't work out. The point is, we can't tell people they're not allowed to try and hook up with other people, If I think maybe the solution is, in the long run, if you want to make something clear, you specifically say when you're taking the job, I am in no way interested in ever engaging in any relations or activities with any of my coworkers, and I hope that's perfectly clear to you, and we can set those boundaries. But if you don't set those boundaries, can you blame Neil deGrasse Tyson for trying to clumsily put the moves on somebody? I don't think so. What I can say is, maybe the way she framed it is correct. He was a creepy dude who brought her up, kicked his shoes off, and said, come on, baby, give me a release. Maybe the way he framed it is correct. He just had his assistant with him, was like, you want to hang out for a little bit? Because otherwise I'll be bored. He's not saying it that way. He was saying like, hey, it's like we're wrapping up. Why don't you come up and grab some wine and cheese with me and we'll chill for a bit. And that can be totally normal among friends. It's unfortunate that because it's a man and woman, it can't happen. The point is, I wanted to address the Neil deGrasse Tyson thing. I don't know if there was enough there to do so, but I really, really wanted to talk about the consent and the cameras thing. And I think it's fair to say that if these incidents were actually filmed, there'd be no question. But how creepy would that be? To have to pull out your camera every time something's happening, I'm just going to film you real quick. Can you consent? It's just not romantic now, is it? Not at all. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for hanging out. I'll have more videos tomorrow on the main channel at 4.